Hey there friends, welcome to day 9 of our 12 days of Christmas in July tutorial series here on my channel. If you're just joining in, you can find links to the first 8 days at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And if you're new around here, I hope you will consider hitting the subscribe button to join our crafty little family. Don't forget to visit us on Instagram for daily holiday inspiration. So the theme for today's project is revisit and remake. And it's one of my favorites. We do it when we have a yearly series. So we go back to the previous year and find the project with the most views. Then we take inspiration from that project and see if there are any changes we can make to make it more unique. Sometimes it's the size, or sometimes we change something to improve its functionality. So that's what we're going to do today. If that sounds good to you, stick with me and we will make it together. Before we get going, just a quick reminder to watch out for the question of the day. Now let's get started. The inspiration project is the envelope flip book that we featured on day 7 of our 2021 series. I rewatched that tutorial and decided I could simplify the base to make it much easier to create, and that would also improve its functionality. So we're also going to switch out the collection. We're using the Lumberjack Christmas. This is the 12 by 12 collection pack, as well as the 6 by 6 paper pad. And I did mix in a few of the little lumberjack patterns. They just really all work together, and I liked the combination of the plaids and the checks. So I got a few of the little lumberjack to mix in with Lumberjack Christmas. And we're going to start with the envelope. So the size of the paper for this envelope is 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. And we're going to score it at 3 3/4. So I'm lining that up with a 3 3/4 mark. I'll make my groove and then twist that around till that score line lines up with this little pointer, and then I'll continue that process all the way around. And then to finish this process, I will line up these pointed edges in the rounding section on the back, and I'll just round all of those corners off, and I do that all the way around. For the book that we're making today, I did decide to go with this black cardstock. It really coordinates well with the Lumberjack Christmas. I have the same measurements going all the way around, and you see I did round all those corners. The difference in this base from our previous year is I'm not going to fold the flap into the envelope. I'm going to move it to the back, and this is really going to help make a nice finished edge here, add a little bit of stability, and give us a little bit of extra room in that pocket. So I will go ahead and adhere this to the back, and then I'll add a little bit of my Tombow to seal up this envelope. So I know that if I go right along here, that I can fold it over without accidentally gluing it closed. So I'm going to make 4 envelopes for this folio, and you can adjust that. You would just have to make some additional adjustments in the depth of your cover. So consider that. I like 4, and you can use however few or as many as you like. Once I have that glue down though, I will just go ahead and place my large stamping block on it. That will help to hold it in place while the glue sets up. Then I can continue working, but for my project, I'm gonna need 4 of those. So I also have 4 additional pieces here. These are going to be scored, and they'll become our pages. So the height on these is 5 5/8 by 9 3/4. And I'm scoring it at 4 3/4 and 5, and that will give us the 1/4 of an inch depth that we need in the spine. I've got my adhesive on here, and I have already prepared a few other pieces so that I can assemble them here. I'll just go ahead and add my Tombow here, and then line this up right along the edge of the next set of pages. So I'm just bringing those corners together and making sure that the side and the bottom are nice and even and square. So this will be 1 of 4, and you can see that I have already added my adhesive all the way around here. So I'll take the backing off of one side first. We're going to wrap this in an additional piece of cardstock so that we can have a nicely finished spine on the outside. It just gives it a better finished look. So here's our next piece. I call this the cover wrap because it goes all the way around the back. It's 5 5/8 inch high, and I have just left the full 11 inches. That was original. I'm gonna go ahead and adhere it to my base, and then I'll remove the excess once we have all the pieces in place. So let's go back to that 2 glue combo and bring those corners together just like we did for the previous layer. And then I'm just going to press that into place a little bit while the glue sets up. Then flip this over and bend all of my pages back toward the left. So this is the time when I would remove the backing from this double-sided adhesive. I want to bring in my scoreboard so that I can line up the edge of that last set of pages where the score line meets one of the grooves in the scoreboard. Go ahead and score that now so that we get a nice crisp crease on the back, and bring in your Tombow again. So I'm not going all the way over to the edge here. I want to make sure that it doesn't squeeze out. If you hear that noise in the background, that is Miss Lily getting into some kind of trouble. So now that I have it scored where the fold line is, I'm just going to go ahead and press that over and make sure that it's lined up. Can you hear Lily? I don't know what she's doing. Hold this in place for a bit so that you get a good contact. Now flip all of this over again to the first score line. And you want to come back in and put another score in there, just along the edge. And then remove the backing for the tape on this side. Somebody wants to be part of the video, it seems. And add some additional Tombow. And then one last fold here right along that nice score line that we created. You want to hold this in place again just for a bit so that glue has a bit to set up. If you can hear her, leave me at #Lily down in the comments. Now you can go ahead and remove the excess by clipping along. It's hard to see probably on camera because this is such a dark color, but I'm just trimming off the excess of that wrap right along the edge of that page. And this will be the inside and our spine. So this is already ready. I think a good idea while you're working along is to press a ruler down into those spine areas so that you know that you've gotten a good contact with the glue. So I'll just go ahead and work down on all 4 pages here. I have 2 additional pieces here to finish this cover, and I'm gonna wrap the front and the last page with an additional layer so that we get a nice finished edge. This one is going to be 5 5/8 by 9 1/2 and scored at 4 3/4. I've got tape on there as well. So let's put a little Tombow and bring those pieces together. One more layer of our Tombow, press that over. So now your front cover has 4 layers of paper. So you know that it is going to be very nice and thick and sturdy, and it's going to have the finished edge. So I'll just repeat that process and finish the back page as well. So I think it's a good time to go ahead and finish the back and the side now. So I've got my spine piece here. It's 5 1/2 inches high by 7 1/8 inch wide. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it off camera so that I can see over top of it. to get it centered correctly. Then I'm going to put the back cover on as well. I decided to add a layer of white cardstock for some of these pattern papers as well, just so that I can brighten it up. So for the cover, the measurement for our white cardstock is 5.5 by 4 5/8, and the pattern paper is 5 3/8 by 4.5. And that will just be centered again. So let's bring our envelope back in. And remember I said that I was going to seal the flap on the outside. So let's do that now. And I've got some adhesive that is already on the outside. This is definitely a place where you want to have your Tombow. So let's just add that as well. Now open up the booklet, the book here, and the envelope measures the same as the pages, so you don't have to worry about centering it. You just have to get it lined up along the edges, and the outside goes toward the outside, obviously, so that you can put your inserts in and out. And so let's just line that up right along the edge. This adds so much nice sturdiness and thickness. So here is your first envelope in position for the inside of the book. So let's work on our pattern paper. We're going to make the inserts for our pockets out of 65 pound weight cardstock. The measurements are 5.5 by 9 1/4, scored at 4 5/8. And then the pattern paper for that is going to be 5 3/8 by 4.5. I've already prepared the other pieces onto this folded insert, but you can see that I've mixed and matched these patterns. I just have the same pattern on the inside, and I was able to utilize quite a lot of my 6x6 paper pad to finish all these off. And this will slide very nicely right into that envelope. I want to add a little bit of a finishing detail just to cover up a little bit of how dark that envelope is. So I cut an additional piece of the pattern paper that is 2.5 wide by 5.5 high. And I'm just gonna cover this bottom section here where it won't interfere with the envelope working. And so that just gives it a little bit of a nicer look on the inside. So when we go to our left-hand pages, I have the same measurements as on the back cover, and then I also want to include a tip-in. So in order to save a little bit of the bulk, we're gonna make our tip-in and have the pattern paper glued directly to it without an additional border. And so I was able to utilize quite a lot of these larger 4x4 cut apart images, and I did cut them down to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 so that I could center it on this flip mechanism. So this is another piece of 65 pound weight cardstock. It's 4 high by 5 wide and scored at 1, so that we're going to have all those nice borders around there. And I was able to utilize quite a few of the scraps that we've created along the way. For the back side, I'm just creating a patchwork of them, bringing all those patterns together to fill in the space. It's still going to be 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, and that will cover the back very nicely. So here is the time you want to add it to your page, and I've got my pattern paper and white cardstock. Like I mentioned, it's measured to be the same as the outside cover. I'll just bring that score line right to the side and press that into the adhesive that I have already added to the back. And then I can flip this around and bring this to my book. So for the left-hand pages, you will get a slight border around from the darker cardstock. That just gives it a little bit more of a consistent look with the folded insert that I have on the side because it has the white border. So each set of your pages on the inside is going to have the folded insert and the full-size page with the large tip-in from the journal card. So each of our pages on the inside is going to have this similar design. We're just going to mix and match those paper patterns to get a different look all throughout. So now you can see we really filled this mini in, and we've got all of our pages finished with the folded inserts and the tip-ins and a fun mixing and matching of all of those pattern papers. There is some additional room in these pockets if you want to tuck in some flat keepsakes and mementos. Okay, let's finish the front cover now. We're going to add our ribbon trim, and we'll tack that down temporarily while we wait to add the front cover. So here is a combination of those pattern papers. I have the same measurement as the back and the full-size inside pages, and that will just sandwich that trim against the back layer of the book. I've got a sweet little doily. This is a frilly lace nested circle from Gina Marie Designs. I'm putting it pretty high here because there isn't a lot of room on the sides for my floral arrangement, so I'm going to have to bring it down a little to the bottom. I used a circle to die cut the portion out of one of the 4x4 journal cards, and so that's going to be my sentiment. And then here is that flower arrangement. So these are little birdie craft flowers combined with some poinsettias that I created myself, some die cut foliage, netting, and some twine. And then I've put my ribbon on the back already. This is a bold check in black and white, so it's going to coordinate really nicely with my lumberjack theme. I'll fix that right on to the bottom, making sure to not cover up the words. I've got one charm here, but it's quite large, so this is going to go right on the corner, and I'll adhere that with hot glue as well. I've clipped the excess string, and I'll just top that cut edges with this vintagey button. And last but not least, I will add my sequins with a little bit of my Tombow, then tie up this folio with a generously sized bow and clip the excess ribbon to give it a nicely finished look. Okay, time for the question of the day. Share with me a Christmas tradition that is unique to where you live. So of course you all know I love Frankenmuth. It's called Michigan's Little Bavaria, and it's got loads of authentic shops and restaurants, and of course bakeries, and for some reason so many shops that make fudge. Not to mention Bronner's, which is the best Christmas store ever. So here's a little bit of fun trivia. Did you know the movie Polar Express was inspired by a book also named Polar Express, and written by Michigan native Chris Van Allsburg, about a train named Pierre Marquette, which offers North Pole Express rides every holiday season. So that's kind of a fun connection from a movie that we know all around the world right back here to Michigan. Let me know what your tradition is in the comments below. So that's all for our envelope book for day 9 of our 12 Days of Christmas in July series. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 10. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. You can find links to the products I mentioned as well as for all our socials in the description below. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye!